Books are wonderful. They're able to send you to a whole new world.
I read a great book about that once!
But what if those same books cause your very demise? That's an important question Libra of Nil Admirari asks of you. Out of all of the videos in this series thus far, this happens to be one of the most well-known Otome game adaptations of a non-localized title other than Danmaku Lovers. And since this series has an anime adaptation that is undoubtedly pretty mid, you should already know what time it is. Hot boy time. Libra of Nil Admirari changes history quite a bit.
I read a great book about history once!
The story is set in an alternative what-if scenario of the Taisho era, not ending in 15 years, but going on for another 25 and interrupting the Showa era. 18-year-old Tsugumi Kuze is the eldest daughter of the noble Kuze family, and she lives together with her butler, Oichi Keizaburo, who she calls Jiya, and her little brother, 12-year-old Hitaki. This brings us to an important little fact about Hitaki. Surprise, surprise! He's a total cis-god. God damn it, I thought we were done with incest. The series begins with Hitaki barging into Tsugumi's room and questioning her about her arranged marriage that she's entertaining because of her family's financial situation. He even tells her that he hates her and decides to lock himself up in his room. And just in case you're wondering, no, he's not upset because she's doing it to his family. He's upset because then he wouldn't be able to marry her. Nothing like your little brother having a temper tantrum over a non-existent love triangle. Tsugumi decides to cheer him up by buying him the newest book in his favorite series and making him her special pancakes. But when she returns home and gives him the book, she witnesses something strange afterward. Hitaki suddenly combusts into flames and tries to take his own life after reading the book she gave him. Racked with guilt about Hitaki's attempted suicide, Tsugumi cuts off her hair for some reason and decides to join the Imperial Library Intelligence Assistant Management Bureau, Fukuro for short. It turns out the book Hitaki was holding is classified as a maremono, books that affect readers' minds differently depending on who reads said book, and it causes them to harm themselves at times. Tsugumi can see the auras of maremono, and she's inclined to join at the behest of a member of Fukuro, Hayato Ozaki. She does, and thus she becomes the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed newbie and the second female member of the group, the first being their commanding officer, Shiori Tokinomiya. After the prologue and a very long common route, you pick which character route you want to begin with first. At first, you're only able to choose 4 characters, while the rest of them are locked for story reasons. The first available character route are Shogo Ukai, Hisui Hoshikawa, Shizuru Mugawa, and Akira Kogami. The last 2 important routes are related to Hayato Ozaki and Rui Sagisawa, with the player only able to get to Hayato's route after they clear Rui's route. Now, if you know this series or just Otome games in general, by now you should know there are 2 ways they can go about this. 1. Shove everyone's route in the anime and give some fan service to every character. Or 2. Follow the true route and allow the heroine to end up with the poster boy character. Which one does Nil Admirari choose? Well, both of them! That's right. For better or for worse, it follows both examples. This is going to be such a mess. One of the problems between the anime and the game is something that happens a lot. There just isn't enough time. For one, the game can take up to 100 hours to finish, while the 12 episodes try to shovel too much information to you at once. This is a worse offender than any other Otome game adaptation, especially because the game itself has tons of info dumps. What are ours? Info dump. What are maremono? Info dump. Hell, even the scene where Tsugumi just discovered her little brother tried to take his own life is derailed by an info dump about Fukuro and Hayato trying to flirt with Tsugumi. Apparently. In this case, I suppose you can say the anime and Otome game are pretty similar in that aspect. What's not similar, however, is the pacing. While in the game, the pacing for each respective route starts slow and then hitches off at a high near the climax, the anime takes a different approach. Because the game isn't translated, I'm not sure if this really counts as a spoiler alert or not, but I am going to dig into some secret territory here, so it's best to leave if you don't want to know anything. Let's start with none other than the second to last route you literally must play, Rui. They begin with him in episode 3 for some reason, because why not? Rui is a college student with a strong sense of justice who comes on strong, and I mean really strong, whenever he meets Tsugumi. He's also studying medicine to become a doctor, and is just an all-around good person, although it turns out his sense of justice is somewhat twisted. In the series, there's a group called Kagutsuchi that mugs people, steals their books, and burns them on the spot. This is all in the name of justice, because these books may be maremono, and may cause more people to kill or even hurt themselves.
I read a great book about killing once!
Rui is one of the victims, but it turns out he's only posing as one of them to get closer to Tsugumi because she can see auras. He does fall in love with her, which makes a lot more sense in the game because it's not just one episode, but when she realizes the ringleader of Kagutsuchi sounds the same as Rui, she refuses his offer to join the group. The impact of Rui being the leader of Kagutsuchi is left dull, which muddles a lot of the story. They basically throw away his route in one episode. Shogo is a pompous ass, aka tsundere, who barely gets any character development just like Rui. He's also a massive sexist, but since this is the 1900s, it's kinda era appropriate. Luckily, he's not like that 24/7. Like Hitaki, he happened to read a maremono that caused him to almost take his own life as well, but since he's the Prime Minister's son, it left him in shame. He also only gets one episode, the third one to be exact, which introduces us to the true villain of basically almost every route, a group called Karasu, because there can never be too many groups. It's the same with Shizuru, who's an author of so-called flowery romance books, hentai, whose story is shoved into episode 5. He probably gets the least screen time, considering he wasn't as popular as the other characters in the game. Hisui, aka Best Boy, and the youngest member of Fukuro got episode 6. Hisui's backstory was skipped, and they really rushed to the conclusion super fast. Like Shizuru, Hisui barely got any screen time, which is a surprise considering how popular a character he is. At that point, it wasn't even the fact that you were spoiled that'll get you. You'll probably just be confused when his dead mother just pops out of a book.
I read a great book about books once!
Akira. Well, what can I say about Akira? His route is interesting, to say the least. I can't really say much about it because it's kind of hard to explain, but they put him in episodes 7 and 8. He actually got 2 episodes, Akira lovers. They also go to the movies though, so that's a normal thing that they happen to do. You know, after my antagonist happens to try and attack her on a train, because this is old times, and apparently that's a thing that the writer thinks should happen, I suppose. Well, I suppose this scene is better in the anime because the game takes it way too far. That's all I've got to say on the matter. And of course, Hayato is the poster boy, so he ends up with Tsugumi and has the most amount of episodes and screen time. Tsugumi gets kidnapped, Hayato saves her, they get married and live happily ever after. But what about Hitaki, you ask? Well, he's fine, except for the fact that he's still a total syscon. To be honest, you don't really know what happens to him until the fan-sequel that's actually considerably better in story and character development overall. The liver of Nilad Marari is special. Tsugumi is treated like a damsel in distress and as a tool of sorts to find the auras of books to discover if they're Maremono. I actually liked her a lot more in the Otome game as she has some pretty good character development. Alas, the anime adaptation makes the mistake of making everyone want to steal her heart and leaving out tons of details that make this nothing but a complete head scratcher. And even the opening and ending have nothing to do with the series, which makes it a bit odd to watch every single time. So what's the problem this time? Too much to name. But I do commend it for being a pretty enjoyable watch in the beginning. The only thing I can warn you about is some dark themes near the end, but you'll just have to watch it yourself to find out.